One of Buffett's most popular quotes is, "Calculate owner's earnings to get a true reflection of value." In part 1, we'll first look at what owner's earnings are, then we'll dive into each part of Buffett's calculation. Next, in part 2, we'll look step by step at how Buffett uses owner's earnings in practice while looking at Microsoft as an example. You'll want to watch carefully because it's Buffett's favorite and most effective tool to find great stocks. Part 1, Buffett's approach to owner's earnings. Warren Buffett popularized the term owner's earnings, which shows how much a business is earning for shareholders. He explained owner earnings in his 1986 Berkshire Hathaway shareholder letter, where he introduced the concept as a way to estimate the cash that truly belongs to a business's owners. So, what exactly are the owner's earnings? To help understand why we should care about owner's earnings, consider a family-owned hotel as an example. Would the hotel owner care about the stock price, credit ratings, or earnings before interest and tax? Probably not much, but they care a lot more about how much money they can take out of the business after paying all expenses. When they have the money to take out, they look at investing in growing the hotel or paying themselves dividends. That's why the hotel owner will look at the owner's earnings. At its core, owner earnings aim to answer one fundamental question. How much cash does a business generate that can realistically be distributed or reinvested without harming its competitive position? Owner earnings are a way to evaluate a company's performance by focusing on the cash available to its owners. Rather than relying on accounting profits, this measure highlights the cash the company generates that can realistically be distributed to shareholders, reinvested to grow the company, or used to pay down debt. By focusing on cash flow rather than reported earnings, owner's earnings offer a more practical view of a company's underlying financial strength and its ability to create long-term value. It helps us calculate the cash that could be withdrawn from a business without weakening operations. When compared to net income, it excludes non-cash accounting items to provide a clearer picture of cash available. Owner's earnings are crucial for identifying businesses capable of compounding value. Buffett wrote the following in his Berkshire shareholder letter, as shown here, but don't worry if it seems complicated as we'll go through it step by step. His original framework can be summarized as net income plus depreciation, minus capital expenditures to maintain the long-term competitive position, minus changes in working capital. I know that sounds like a lot, but don't worry. We'll break each part down in a simple way so you can understand it. Buffett stresses that owner earnings are an estimate and not an exact figure. He prefers conservative assumptions and would rather slightly understate owner earnings than overstate a business's true earning power. Next, we'll go through the owner's earnings components. Firstly, owner earnings begin with net income from the income statement, which represents reported profit after expenses, interest, and taxes. Most investors stop at net income, but Buffett goes further by asking what happens to profits after they are earned. Most of the time, income is paid to shareholders, used to maintain existing operations, or invested to expand the business. Depreciation and amortization are added back because they reduce accounting earnings without using cash. They are non-cash charges that lower reported income but do not reduce the company's actual cash balance, which is why Buffett adds it to net income in the formula. Depreciation is the reduction of an asset's value over time due to use, wear, and tear, or obsolescence. The difference between amortization and depreciation is that depreciation is based on tangible assets, such as vehicles, machinery, or buildings. However, amortization is based on intangible, non-physical assets that you cannot touch, such as patents, copyrights, franchises, and software. Amortization involves spreading an expense over a set period through regular payments. It means spreading the cost of an intangible asset over its useful life. Other non-cash charges, such as impairments or certain share-based compensation items, can also be adjusted for depending on how conservatively the investor wants to calculate owner earnings. Next, we have maintenance capital expenditure, which reflects cash spent to maintain or expand assets, such as equipment, facilities, or technology, to remain competitive. Because companies rarely separate maintenance spending from growth spending, Buffett favors conservative assumptions here. For example, if a hotel is surrounded by similar hotels with swimming pools, then that hotel will probably need to invest in a swimming pool to keep up with the competition. That is not growth, but rather maintaining their level. Working capital changes show whether cash is being absorbed or released by day-to-day operations. If a greater amount of cash is stuck in receivables or inventory, owner earnings should fall. If working capital shrinks, then cash flow improves and owner earnings rise. By the way, all of this information for a stock can be sourced from public filings such as annual and quarterly reports. Many Buffett-style investors use a more practical, simplified version, which is cash flow through operations minus maintenance capital expenditures. The main difference is using maintenance capital expenditures, which are expenses to keep the company running, instead of total capital expenditures. This approach can be more reliable because operating cash flow already adjusts for many accounting distortions. It's also easier to find in the cash flow statement, making it more accessible to everyday investors. Operating cash flow reflects the cash created by a company's regular business activities. It appears in the first section of the cash flow statement and captures real inflows and outflows tied to core operations. Next, we'll briefly look at how Buffett views capital spending. Total capital spending includes both growth investments and maintenance spending. Growth capital expands future earnings, while maintenance capital preserves current operations. Because companies rarely clearly separate the two, Buffett encourages conservative assumptions. If maintenance spending is difficult to estimate, the safer option is to assume all capital expenditure is maintenance. This leads to free cash flow, which equals cash from operations minus total capital expenditures. Free cash flow usually subtracts total capital expenditure, while owner earnings usually only takes away maintenance capital expenditure. While this may understate owner earnings, it reduces the risk of overpaying for a business based on optimistic assumptions. Next, we'll move on to part 2 to see how Buffett uses owner's earnings with an example. Buffett does not use owner earnings in isolation and instead uses them as a filter for finding a great stock. First, owner earnings help him assess whether reported profits are supported by real cash generation. If accounting earnings are strong, but owner earnings are weak or declining, that is a warning sign. Secondly, owner earnings allow Buffett to evaluate capital allocation discipline. He analyzes the amount of cash remaining after maintenance needs and how management chooses to use it through reinvestment, dividends, debt reduction, or share buybacks. Third, Buffett uses owner earnings in valuation. By comparing owner earnings to the stock price, he can estimate how much cash he is buying relative to what he is paying. This provides a cash-focused alternative to traditional price-to-earnings ratios. Finally, owner earnings help Buffett judge durability. Businesses with strong and stable owner earnings tend to have economic moats, pricing power, and resilience across economic cycles. If you're learning something new, please consider clicking the like button and subscribing so you don't miss out on more videos like this. Next, let's take a look at Microsoft as an example to help you understand how to apply owner's earnings. Firstly, we can see the figures here, which I've taken from Microsoft's report for the year ending in June 2025. You can see the figures for net income, depreciation and amortization, maintenance capital expenditure, and changes in working capital. Next, we put those figures into the formula with net income plus depreciation and amortization minus maintenance capital expenditure minus working capital. As a result, we get owner's earnings of $96 billion. The result is significantly higher than in 2024, when it was $88 billion. This figure can also be used to calculate a price-to-owner earnings ratio, offering a cash-focused alternative to traditional valuation multiples. Next, let's look at the major pros and cons of using owner earnings. To start, we'll go through the pros of using owner earnings versus traditional earnings metrics. Firstly, they provide a clearer focus on cash, avoiding distortions created by accounting policies, non-cash charges, or one-time items. They improve valuation analysis, allowing investors to compare cash generation with market value rather than relying solely on reported profits. They offer insight into financial sustainability, showing whether a business can reinvest in itself, reward shareholders, and service debt without financial strain. They support risk assessment because businesses that consistently generate excess cash are better positioned to survive downturns and economic stress. And lastly, owner earnings closely align with how shareholders benefit through dividends and compounding. Now, let's look at the limitations and risks of owner earnings, because despite their usefulness, they are not perfect. Firstly, there isn't a single standardized definition, which makes comparisons between investors or companies more difficult. Estimates for maintenance capital spending and working capital changes can be imprecise and introduce subjectivity into the calculation. Owner earnings do not fully capture broader strategic or market risks, such as competitive disruption, regulatory changes, or macroeconomic conditions. They may also understate the impact of certain non-cash expenses, like stock-based compensation that still represents real economic costs to shareholders. For these reasons, Buffett uses owner earnings as part of a broader analytical framework, not as a standalone decision tool. Owner earnings offer a deeper and more realistic way to understand business performance. By focusing on cash flow rather than accounting profit, investors gain insight into how value is created, preserved, and compounded. Increasing owner earnings indicate that a company's future earnings are more likely to be positive, making it highly valuable for predicting long-term performance. And we now know how Buffett uses owner earnings to identify businesses with durable cash-generating power. However, it can sometimes be unreliable, as it assumes business financial results will be consistent, even though factors such as seasonality can fluctuate results from quarter to quarter. Also, you must be mindful of high one-off costs or sales, which can significantly change the result. Quarterly earnings can also be misleading due to accounting adjustments, timing differences, and aggressive assumptions, which can distort results. It's best used by reviewing it annually and comparing it over multiple years, as Buffett does. I know this was quite a complex calculation, and there is no standard textbook formula. Therefore, if you need any help, leave a comment and I'll be sure to reply. Also, please consider clicking the like button and subscribing if you found value from the video. You'll find this video very useful to watch next. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.